Thank you. I'm Karin Ström Lehander. I'm a PhD student at Åbo Academy. And I have used Nina Kokkinen's theories and methods on my looking at Tyra Kleen. So Tyra Kleen, the artistry of the Swedish artist Tyra Kleen, is the object for my PhD studies. And I call this the constant seeker because Tyra Kleen she was never content. She always kept looking for new things, going into new situations. She was an adventurous woman and a constant traveler. And she was influenced by the esoteric tendencies of her period. And she was a part of a large network of artists. She lived in Europe for many years, and she seems to have felt more as a European than a Swede. She spent 3 years in Paris around the turn of the century, fin du siècle, and those years had a great impact on her artistry, and I will come back to that. As an artist, she's most famous for her lithographies and for her portraits of dancers from Java and Bali. Let's see here. She was born in 1874 and she died in 1951. She was born in Stockholm and raised in an aristocratic setting at the family estate at Valinge near Nyköping, south of Stockholm in Sweden. Her father was in the diplomatic field, and he brought his family along on some of the assignments. And that made Tyra and her two siblings, the sister and a brother, made the family well-traveled and experienced travelers already at young age. So Tyra Kleen and her siblings made many international friends. And she learned several languages. She could speak French, English, German, Italian, Spanish, Dutch, and Swedish. And her letters are in all these different languages too, so that makes it kind of, a challenge to pick up French language or read a letter in German. Already at a young age, Tyra displayed a talent for drawing and painting. And as a teenager, at the age of 16, she was sent to Germany to school for art studies. First, she went to girls' school in Dresden, then she went to the Malerinnenschule in Karlsruhe in Germany. And she continued on to the Academy of Art in Munich. In Germany, she learned the basic styles of jugend, or art nouveau, if you want, and the symbolistic styles. And in 1895, of course, at the age of 21, she went to Paris for further studies in art. And she spent 3 very important to her artistry. Spent 3 years there, from 1895, of course, to 1897. 98, she went on to Rome. I noticed really late last night that I have a wrong date there. She left Paris 1897. The family supported Kleen's artistic aspirations, and since they had seen her talent at young age. Her older brother, he took care of the family estate, Valinge, and her older sister, she got married and had children. So I think that therefore the family kind of let young Tyra go, and they supported her artistic inspirations. She spent her 3 years in Paris together with her mother as in Swedish we say, a förkläde. I don't know if apron would work, but her mother kind of watched over her. Chaperone, thank you. Excellent, thank you, chaperone. The spirituality of Tyra Kleen's art. As Paris was the melting pot of esoterical movements, literary-wise and philosophically, artistically, they all gathered in Paris. And Kleen was very influenced by these esoteric tendencies. She was interested in theosophical mystics. She visited philosophical and theosophical lectures. And she studied theosophical literature and also occultist publications written by, for example, Tsar Peladon or Stanislas de Gaeta. She was very interested also in new science, such as the X-rays here. So that's a photo of her hand. And it's a copy of Pierre Puvis de Chavannes, who was one of the symbolists, important symbolists. That's her copy of it. And she was also very inspired by Arnold Böcklin's art. She read and was inspired by Tsar Peladon, Joséphine Peladon, but she didn't approve of everything everything at his salons. Since women were not allowed to show their work at Tsar Peladon's salon at the Rosenkreuz, that was according to a heavenly law, according to Tsar Peladon, who was the founder of this Rosenkreuz order at Paris. Tyra Kleen wrote a very sarcastic article, and the description that Tsar Peladon saw women mostly as muses and not as artists. And this not being able to show her work is probably one of the reasons to why she left Paris at 1897. She was inspired, as so many other women at the turn of the century, by Theosophy and Helena Blavatsky that we have heard about already today. Theosophy had a great impact in Europe, especially among intellectuals and upper-class women at the time. So, after Paris, Tyra moved to Rome. And as I mentioned, Tyra Kleen is mostly known for her lithographies and dances from Java and Bali. And she opposed the Christianity over the time. She found it too rigid, too strict, and not welcoming women. And she searched for another religion that would be more to her liking. Tyra Kleen became a member of the Theosophical Society in Rome on January 7th in 1904. And that's when she lived in Rome for quite a few years. She had participated in meetings and listened to lectures already at her Paris time, but she became a member in Rome. And as a member of the Theosophical Society, she attended seances and she showed her art in different theosophical circles. And this is one of the very beautiful paintings by her, lithographies by her. She claimed that colors were not very important, but it was the lines, the outlines. And therefore she was sometimes criticized for having painted with the male gaze, the male eye. As a true symbolist, she painting with the esoterical style, she draw dreams, nightmares, and stories, etc. And Tyra Kleen was one of the few Swedish women artists who was a symbolist. The symbolist style was never really big in Sweden as it was on the continent. But Tyra Kleen, having had her art education in Germany and Paris, where the symbolism was dominant, she was inspired by the style and she made it her style. She was accepted to show her works at several exhibitions, and she showed her works and she won recognition as a symbolist. This is called Nevermore, and that's Tyra Kleen's illustration to one of Edgar Allan Poe's stories from the story Raven. It's called Nevermore, as I mentioned. And the story goes, the man, widow man, as you see here, who's desperately clinging to his dead wife's deathbed, and he wants to see her again, but the raven in Korp keeps crying, nevermore, nevermore, you will never see her again. And it's a pretty dramatic illustration that Tyra Kleen has made her. That's, and this, she makes her comments, can you say, or illustrations for the different authors who were the symbolists' inspirations. This is called La Chevelure. It's a lithography from 1905, and it's based on the poem by Charles Baudelaire. It's about, it's from the Grapes of Wrath, no, Flowers of, nej, vad heter den?
Flowers of Evil.
Flowers of Evil, thank you. And it's about a man who becomes obsessed of this woman's hair and the scent of her. And we can see how Tyra Kleen, she writes on the bottom the poem that she is illustrating. That's Baudelaire, but also Stanislas de Gaeta. His poem Rosa Mystica is her illustration of Le Fantôme du Passé. And it's about how you can never, you are never let to forget the bad memories that you might have in your younger life. And like this is a close-up on how she used to write on the lithographies itself. She writes the poem and on the drawing. After her years in Rome, she moved to Stockholm. She had a house, she built a house and continued her artistic work. Here in this picture called Death, she writes about this, she paints this skeleton The skeleton was a gift from one of her friends who had access to a hospital in Uppsala. And she writes that in her diary, how she could go down to the basement, to the cellar at Uppsala Hospital and just choose whichever skeleton would be suitable for her drawing. The electric candle was quite new at the time, so she is experimenting with this ténébris, this really strong light. And here, Tyra Kleen, this is called the Paradise Lost. It's her version of how Adam and Eve were pushed out from paradise. She made this in 1910. And today it's used at an exhibition that's in Uppsala. It's about Tyra Kleen's work and her constant search. And when in Stockholm, she exhibited some of her works. For example, she showed her works at this Theosophical exhibition in Stockholm in 1913 and later on 1916. And she exhibited here in 1913 together with Hilma af Klint and Anna Kassel too. And here is another one, In Prayer. You can see how the smoke goes up as prayers up unto to God. And this picture, it's not very good. I'm sorry, I took it with my phone, and so excuse me for those lines. But these are really interesting. Tyra Kleen has painted the archangels Gabriel and Michael, and they were made for Edelweissförbundet, the small religious society that was in Stockholm at the end of 19th century up until 2004. And Tyra Kleen writes in her diary that she gets the project to paint two angels, one blue and Gabriel, and the pink one for Archangel Michael. And she is painting them. It takes her a couple of months, and then she rolls them up together, and she takes the boat from Lidingö, where she has her house, into Stockholm, and she deliver it to Edelweissförbundet's founder, Line Beamish. But probably they were not used, as they were found and they're now in the possession of the collection of mediumistic art, and they're still, after having been folded for 100 years, they're still kind of crooked. A funny incident that Tyra Kleen describes in her diary is that she had a problem with her house. The water was leaking, the pipes, the drainage didn't work. 1 minute, yes. And since she believed in ghosts, she thought the house was haunted, and she had someone from the Edelweiss Society come and fix it for her. And this is also a very symbolistic drawing by her. Then the traveler, Tyra Kleen was a traveler, the constant traveler. She traveled to India, Java, Bali, Egypt, Greece. And she made this forbidden fruit that's also very interesting, and how you can look at snakes from different perspectives. And the snake in the theosophical perspective doesn't have to be the evil, not person, evil thing. She drew temple dancers and mudras, and late works she was still drawing. And I found this with the bubble is really, really interesting. And we were talking about where did she get her inspiration? Well, maybe a clue would be that she's writing that she was down and in opium and trying, more sources of information, of inspiration. Her collection contains of diaries from 60 years, postcards, letters, and in her will, she gave her all her collection, her estate, to the Swedish house of nobility, Riddarhuset. She didn't have any children, so she gave everything away. But she had this, she had a claim that the collection had to be kept hidden for 50 years. And she died 1951. So 2001, the collection was out in the open. And this is one of my favorite pictures of her. And I will close here. And yeah, lithography.